Sleepy, let's not waste any time. Let's get into it here. We'll start with our quarterback props and then we'll work our way from there. I'll let you lead it off here. Take us to your quarterback prop.
All right, I'm going to go with Lamar Jackson under 218 and a half passing yards. There's a reason why the Ravens went out and they got Derrick Henry. It's for these kind of games, division games, tough games. Jackson is not supposed to be throwing the football to go out there and win games. For the last couple of years, many of the wins and games were just put on Jackson, with his arms and his legs. And his legs have done a great job. I feel, and I think a lot of people probably agree, that the Ravens just put a lot on the shoulders of Lamar Jackson to be responsible to go out there and win, all these games. But with that said, the Ravens have a little bit of an issue here, and one of those issues is going to be Zay Flowers. He's going to be out for this game, and that's Jackson's number one threat. And in both games this year against the Steelers, Jackson went ahead and he threw the football for 207 yards in each of those games. Well, Flowers in the most recent game, he accounted for 100 of the 207 yards. So, 50% was put on Zay Flowers. And back in the first meeting between these two teams, Flowers accounted for 39 of the 207. So, I don't know. It feels like there's going to be a pretty big gap here with Zay Flowers off the football field. I think that you have to pivot to Derrick Henry. It's not going to be Mark Andrews. It's not going to be Isaiah Likely. It's not going to be Rashad Bateman. It's going to be Derrick Henry. That's why he's here for these particular type of situations. You can't go out there and lose your number one option and think that, things are going to go very smooth. And why would the Ravens go ahead and why would they put Jackson out there to throw in kind of a dicey game against the Steelers where they know that they're not at 100% at the wide receiver position? So I think the Ravens go ahead and I think that they just feed Derrick Henry and they let Lamar Jackson go out there, use his legs, and they get him to make, the easy chip shot type of throws in this game. And I think that that's going to put Lamar under the total of 218 and a half. So that's where I'm at for that one. I also like Jackson under his attempts, 28 and a half. I just feel like it's going to be a lot of Derrick Henry. Don't put Lamar in a position to go ahead and lose this game with his arm. And I'm looking at that one as well. I like them both, but actually probably about the same there, Munaf. So I'll give you that one as well. Jackson under his attempts, 28 and a half. Jackson under his passing yards, 218 and a half.
Yeah, it's what you exactly mentioned, Sleepy, that this is the reason why they brought Derrick Henry over to the Baltimore Ravens, right? Last year, after they lost to the Kansas City Chiefs there, I know you can talk about the fumble that they did have, but I think that if they just ran the football, this would be a completely different conversation that we would be having this season or at the end of the playoffs last year. But yeah, I think this is going to be a Derrick Henry game. We saw earlier this season, back on December 21st, they fed the ball to him 24 times, and that accumulated to 162 rushing yards. Honestly, I would expect at a minimum 20 carries here for Derrick Henry. That's come into fruition for him in 3 straight games that he's played for this Steelers team. So I would look at Lamar's unders as well. I don't want to say save it, but there's going to be other matchups if the Baltimore Ravens do advance here, of course, as a 9.5 point favorite, that you can rely on the arm of Lamar Jackson. I think that what you mentioned about Zay Flowers, I think it was more likely than not that he wasn't going to play this week, and he's already been ruled out here. So I think we'll see a lot of Derrick Henry in this game. I would agree upon you just taking the unders here for Lamar Jackson, whether it is his passing yards, attempts, completions. I would, pivot, like Sleepy mentioned, to Derrick Henry in this game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like I mentioned, 24 for 162 in a matchup back earlier this season. And then back in November when they first matched up, he did have 13 carries in that game for 65 yards, which is right at 5 yards per carry.